Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Blaine Edwards, and today we are joined by Thomas Pletl, CEO and co-founder of Coinlink, a multi-chain DeFi platform that connects the DeFi services on Cardano, Ethereum, Polygon, and Binance Smart Chain. So, Thomas, cheers for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here, Blaine.
Yeah, no worries. To start us off, perhaps we can begin with a quick intro. So, can you tell the podcast a bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I am a co-founder of Coinlink. I have a background as an IT developer. I've been in the IT business for 2 decades almost right now, and I've come to the crypto scene about 3 years ago, and we've been on several projects out there with, the last huge project that we did was with a bot that was last year. Then at the beginning of this year, it somehow seemed that bots were not, really, they were not what users were really wanting to have anymore. And so with my co-founders, who were also on the same project, we decided to start a DeFi project of our own. And we were already aware of the Cardano space. We were enticed by what Cardano has to offer. We have been doing a lot of Ethereum stuff, staking ourselves, yield farming, etc. during the summer of DeFi last year. But when we became aware of Cardano, and we saw that this had a totally different approach, like the research-based approach, which we found very interesting and intriguing. Because actually we also, of course, followed pretty much what Charles Hoskinson had to say, and this put everything in a bigger perspective to our mind. What really intrigued me was like he is really having this philosophy of blockchain not only being something where you can, earn money. It's something like get rich quick scheme for retail users, because this would be too little. What he tells us is, and what I believe actually will be the future, is that this is a larger philosophy behind this, where people will get access to financial services who do not have this access right now. And also, as he mentioned in a video last week, I think is that data belongs, if data belongs to everyone, then it actually belongs to no one. And this is a very important thing that I've always held as a very important thing for the future that we all want to come true. Not to go into much detail about societal or political things right now, but I think that this is going to be a very important thing for the future. And this is why we came around to actually start a project on Cardano, or with a strong Cardano focus. But then on the other hand, also, as I love building bridges. I always used to do this. When I was in the IT business, I was an IT network administrator, and you have different kinds of operating systems that do not talk to each other. And what you need to do is building bridges. And so what really also intrigued me very much was building bridges between blockchains. And also, this seems to be in line with something that Charles Hoskinson mentioned I think it was back in September, when he said the crypto space needs to have its Wi-Fi moment. And what he meant actually is that blockchains, actually, they are working under the hood, like in a car, like the motor, but you're not concerned with that when you're driving from A to B. What you really want is things to happen. And you don't, as a user, you don't want to need to be aware of what blockchain you're currently on, be it Ethereum, Cardano, Polygon, whatever. And building bridges between these blockchains sounds like a very interesting thing to me to step into the future for the crypto space. And so this is why we started this project, Coinlink, with a strong focus on Cardano, but also with a strong focus of being a cross-blockchain project.
Yeah, interesting. I like what you mentioned about this technology having, the potential to make some massive positive impact in this world. And that's a big factor that drew me into this space as a whole, but also specifically Cardano. They seem to have a focus around, making those fundamental impact in the world. So what is Coinlink? From what you mentioned with bridges, and obviously me knowing what your project is about, maybe talk about Coinlink and how that ties in with your love for building bridges.
Yeah, right now we have got several different blockchain, and well, what really is a drag for the user usually is if you have an asset on one blockchain, for example, and then you find, for example, an interesting investment opportunity like a yield farming protocol on another blockchain, and what happens is that you have to go through well, I don't know how many intermediary steps until you have routed that asset, until you have put it into a liquidity protocol, and you take the liquidity token, you put it into a yield farming protocol. All of this, even for professionals, well, professionals, quote, quote, but this is really a time-consuming process. This is yeah, something you don't want to go through, and especially if you don't have much time. If you're not doing this professionally, then a lot of things are lost on you that you cannot even use. And there is so many interesting opportunities out there where I'm just talking about yield farming, investment things, etc. But there are also a host of other services out there. Think only of NFT, etc., where they become increasingly complex to access because of the fact that there exist several blockchains that do not talk to each other. So what we want to do as a first step is that we will start on the Ethereum blockchain, because right now this is the most used blockchain still. It's the grand dame of all blockchains, and Cardano, as it has become fully operative right now with smart contracts, also will be the first choice to integrate next. Mm-hmm. Right now, there are a lot of services spring up on Cardano. Like SundaeSwap is fully operative on the testnet right now, which will be, yeah, hopefully the first of the DEXs that we will integrate on Cardano. And as more services will spring up on Cardano, we would like to be on the forefront of integrating all them, and then implementing bridges into our project where it is possible for the user, well, ideally speaking, to start with an asset on one blockchain and just tell the app where you want to put the asset ultimately in what kind of whatever yield farming project or whatever. And this then gets routed automatically with as few intermediary steps as possible. So that you end up with where you want your assets to be staked or whatever.
Okay, so on your website it says that you connect all DeFi services on multiple blockchains. So you mentioned Ethereum, Cardano, Polygon, Binance. What DeFi services are you connecting? So obviously, in terms of DeFi, some common ones are decentralized exchanges. So people that want to exchange one token for another token. You have yield farming. People want to kind of stake LP tokens or stake individual tokens to earn yield, or borrowing and lending. Are you kind of aggregating all of those services, but then aggregating them through one blockchain, not one blockchain, but all of them? And then it's like a master aggregator kind of idea. Like you're not just aggregating on one blockchain, you're aggregating these DeFi services around potentially all of them. Is that the value prop?
Yeah, a master aggregator, that sounds very interesting. Yes, well, the long-term vision that would be the Google of all the aggregators.
Well, like you hear of aggregators, and it's from like a usability point of view, it's like helpful because you don't have to an aggregator takes the hassle away from a user from having to seek out the best price from multiple different dexes. This aggregator does that work for you. But one difference for you is that you're looking to aggregate across multiple blockchains potentially.
Yeah, we'll definitely be doing this. And well, there are so many projects out there. Of course, we cannot integrate all of them because integrating still is manual development work. All of them need to be addressed manually during the development, and we will vet the best of them, obviously. For example, the DEXs, which give you the best prices, the yield farming protocols, which give you the highest APYs, etc. But definitely we will aggregate a lot of these projects projects, as there are a lot of interesting ones that give you the best prices. And yes, we will aggregate them across the blockchains. Of course, the aggregator still runs on a blockchain per blockchain basis, but then this is where the smart routing kicks in. If you want to use, yeah, as I already mentioned, if you want to use a service on a different blockchain, this also gets done automatically by the smart routing feature of our app.
Okay, interesting. So maybe we can expand a bit on the smart routing. So is that building the bridge part? Is that essentially what the smart routing is? You can route orders from blockchain to blockchain via some sort of bridge. Is that, maybe expand a bit on how that works, the smart routing process?
Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, this would be the goal, to have the user to do as few intermediary steps as is possible. Right now, there are bridges out there that are already pre-configured by several blockchain projects. Like, for example, there's an Ethereum Polygon bridge. There are several Cardano bridges already out there between Polygon and Ethereum, for example. Also, an ERC20 converter is a brand new thing that has already been launched right now on the Cardano blockchain. And so we will most likely be utilizing, at least for the first step, the bridges that are out there, because setting up our own bridges will also entail to provide liquidity, huge amounts of liquidity for them to be working. We will be looking to do this in a later step. And yes, I believe that blockchains coalescing actually to a larger system will be the future. And so we will have a strong focus on these bridges.
So I'm just trying to visualize how I would actually interact with this. So you mentioned that Ethereum first, you're going to be integrating with Ethereum first, in large part because it's, the DeFi ecosystem is there. But then when the Cardano DeFi ecosystem kind of builds out, then you'll integrate on Cardano next. When fast forwarding into the future, when you do integrate with Cardano, how would I interact with the platform from like a purely a Cardano user? So would I then, I guess, hop on the Coinlink platform, connect my Cardano wallet? Do I have ability to connect with a Cardano wallet, like a Nami wallet or whatever? Obviously not now, but in the future. And then once I connect with my Cardano wallet, I can then trade some sort of coin in a different blockchain ecosystem. Maybe step through that, or would I need to have a MetaMask wallet set up in order to kind of interact with this platform?
Well, right now we are of the opinion that you will still need both wallets from the blockchains that are compatible to the blockchain. And yes, we would actually have a connection then to the Cardano wallet, be it Yoroi, be it Nami, whatever. And yes, you would start out with the asset in that specific wallet, and then it would appear in the target wallet. So for example, you would start with a Cardano token, and then it would appear finally in the MetaMask wallet, or the other way around. That would be what we will be implementing.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Still hoping that in the world of wallets, the same thing will transpire. Yeah, so there will be only one standard for wallets.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's far in the future, I think.
Yeah, that's part of this DeFi evolution. But as it stands, if we want to use the smart routing feature and trade a token from one blockchain to another, would need, I guess, two separate wallets set up, because at the moment the wallets are kind of established for one or a couple of blockchains, or not. There's no wallet currently that exists that is usable for all of them. Fingers crossed, one day in the future we could have some sort of overarching master wallet. That would be an amazing time. But yeah, currently that unicorn doesn't exist. But we're hopefully not too far away from that moment. That would be quite amazing. So you've kind of touched on it already. maybe. So the question I've got written down here is, how are you planning on integrating Cardano into the Coinlink ecosystem? You've kind of already touched on that, but maybe elaborate on that, or speak about, why Cardano is your next in line to integrate with. Like, what are the features of Cardano that you think is quite important for you to like tie into that ecosystem?
Yeah, well, right now, obviously, there is one very practical reason why we would seek to integrate Cardano services as soon as possible is Ethereum will be the first one, but nevertheless, Ethereum has, still suffers from high gas costs and slow transaction speeds. It's a story that has been around for months or even longer. And Cardano, as it has very high transaction speeds and very low transaction costs, will naturally, from a UX standpoint, for the benefit for the user, be the first one that we would like to integrate. And so, it's a little bit, well, we're still waiting for more services to spring up on the Cardano blockchain. This is why Sunday Swap, for example, is so very important for us, because it's not just the first DEX, but it is also a proof that a lot of things that get said about Cardano are just not true, because SundaeSwap proves that there is a DEX, that it is viable to run a DEX on the blockchain, on Cardano blockchain. And so we think that a lot of other projects will also spring up in the wake of SundaeSwap and yield farming protocols as well. And so this is, as I already said, the UX is still lacking on Ethereum to a degree where a lot of users are actually thinking of probably not doing their transaction. And so we would like to integrate Cardano as soon as possible. Just us having bridges doesn't mean you actually have to use them. If you, as a user, are content with everything that Cardano has to offer, which in all likelihood may be the case for a lot of users, then of course you can always stay on a Cardano blockchain and use the services that we aggregate just there.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no harm in having these bridges. You can choose to use them or choose not to. But in general, I think bridges are good in terms of this interoperability thing. It's a bit of a tongue twister, that one. I mean, no matter how much you love a particular blockchain, the reality is the future is got to be interoperable, and that's a good thing, because then we can then connect with, it opens up the value for people to take advantage of, whatever that situation is. So yeah, I'm definitely a big believer in bridges. I love bridges too. I'm an architect, but I've got a bias towards bridges and engineering and that sort of thing. That sort of engineering, not this cool digital engineering that I wish I learned when I was younger. That's a side topic. The roadmap. What does the roadmap look like for you guys at Coinlink?
Yeah, as for the roadmap, in Q1 2022, we will seek to integrate the first Cardano services. We will also then set up the first bridge. Most likely that will be a bridge between Ethereum and Polygon. So obviously we'll also integrate the first services on Polygon. Integrating services is not, as I already mentioned, it's a manual development, but it's not such a big deal. So we will also have time during the first quarter of 22 to implement the first versions of two other very important features that will be transaction tracking and portfolio management. Now, transaction tracking also addresses the fact that in the DeFi space, again, everything is scattered all over your computer because it's a highly fragmented space. If you're doing transactions on different services, then you have your data also scattered all over the place. And if you're doing, for example, if you're preparing a tax declaration, say, then to clean and gather all the data that you need to do this could be, something you don't want to go through. And so if you're doing transactions through Coinlink, all the transactions will also be aggregated there, which allows you to extract the data from one place, which is a huge benefit for the user as well, and which also caters to our belief that UX, again, is something that is still missing in the DeFi space, because you need to be yeah, a tech-savvy person actually for a lot of services to use them right now. And so UX for us is the key to mass adoption for DeFi in the best sense of the word. And so, yeah, transaction tracking will be a feature that also is very much in line with this. And then portfolio management is something, yeah, that comes a little bit out of the world of technical indicators and stuff like that, where you can see the performance of your past investments, and you can put technical indicators to analyze these investments and the performance of them. And so you can make better informed decisions for your future investments. And we will set up the version 1 of these 2 features. And then from that, we will move on with integrating more services, building upon that basis. And also we would like to integrate, or it's finally decided that we will integrate a fiat on-ramping service, which will only be one way for, yeah, several reasons, also legal reasons, etc. But you can on-ramp from, say, your credit card or whatever. We have yet to talk to several third-party providers for that. But that is also something that is in line with our UX thinking, to make it as easy as possible to access the world of DeFi.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. The user experience is key for that mass adoption. I mean, my mum, the moment that she can set up an account and like a wallet and participate in yield farming without, you know, me having to provide a 30-minute tutorial video for her, once you can do that, then that's the level that we need to be at for mainstream adoption. At the moment, it's just too tricky for a lot of people. I mean, that's just a byproduct of being early in such a massive, fundamentally different technology. I mean, there's a transition here. It's going to take a bit of time. And well, how about the team? What does the team that is working on this roadmap? Can you speak a bit about the team?
Yeah, there are 2 more co-founders. That would be René, who, and Marius. Both of them have also been working together with me on that project that I mentioned earlier, on that bot project. And they have also a strong background in development. René is very fond of UX, as he is a front-end developer in React, and Marius is a little bit more oriented towards backend, which will also be needed for our application, obviously. And they have a background in computer science. And also they have been doing a lot of DeFi trading through the past few years. Also, I should mention that René has been actively mining during the Bitcoin time. And yeah, that's pretty much our background.
Awesome. For the listeners out there who want to learn a bit more about what you guys do, maybe connect with you guys on social media, support in whatever way they can, how can those sorts of people connect with Coinlink?
Yeah, of course, we have a presence on Twitter. Coinlink Finance would be our handle there. And on Telegram, we are on the Coinlink Official. That is our Telegram group. And we are right now limiting it basically to these 2 channels. A lot of other projects have set up Discord service, etc. But as we are still a small team, we would like to focus on these 2 channels to give the users the experience that we are really there, that we are answering their stuff on Telegram. For example, if a user has a detailed question about our project or whatever, I can come in and really explain things. And so we just limit it right now to these 2 channels. Of course, as the team will grow, hopefully during the next year, we will expand to other channels. But yeah, that's basically it right now, Telegram and Twitter.
Telegram and Twitter. Alrighty, we'll add those links definitely in the description below, and people can check that out. Moving on to the final question, which is a more general question. What excites you the most about the future of not only Cardano, but the blockchain space in general? What excites you the most about the future?
There is a sort of a proverb that I have used several times on Twitter now, and it says the revolution will not be centralized. And I think
Mm.
this is true because what we are seeing right now is we are so steeped in technicalities in the DeFi space right now. And I think what we neglect to see is that what actually is going on is sort of a revolution, nothing less than a revolution, because not to be too philosophical, but as you can see, the, things are shifting in the financial system right now away from centralized services where you really do not own actually the decision what happens with your money. Like, for example, you have something like negative interest rates. I don't know if this is something that is true for the US, for example, but in Europe we suffer from negative interest rates. You leave your money in the bank, and there are national banks, there are banking institutions who decide that they will, for example, give you a negative interest rate. So in order to incentivize you to spend money. And this all ties into a system that probably is a little bit overcome right now. It's something of the last century. To really have the decision to have the ability to make your own decisions regarding your financial freedom and self-empowerment is it's just not something it's just not something like a slogan, but it's true. And I believe that this is needed for the future for democratic societies to work the way they were intended to. So this is really what fascinates me about DeFi and to be part of the early stages of DeFi and the crypto space.
That's a great answer. The revolution will be decentralized. I love that. It's true. And I kind of think about it as a revolution as well, because like it is. We're literally revolutionizing a range of different industries. And that revolution is driven through decentralization, which is cool.